Over the last 10 years, the median American home went up 35%. Over the same 10 years, the American wages went up 50%. Wages won. Read that again, because it's the opposite of everything you've been told. And yet, over those same 10 years, the monthly payment on that exact house went up almost 90%. Prices didn't run away from you. Something else did. In the next few minutes, I'll show you exactly what using 4 snapshots from 1976, 2001, 2016, and today. And by the end, you'll understand why the year you're buying in is a completely different problem than the one everybody thinks it is, and why that's generally the good news for you. I'm a licensed mortgage loan officer. This is education, not advice for your exact situation. And every rate you're about to see is published historical average with a date on it. Not an offer, not a quote, and not a rate available today. Quick favor before we get into this, if you've ever pulled up a listing, looked at the price, and thought, I was born 10 years too late, tap the like button for me. Also, while you're there, hit the subscribe too. It doesn't cost you anything, and it helps this channel tremendously. Okay, let me show you the 4 snapshots. Here's how I'm doing this. And I want to be upfront about the method, because the method is the whole argument. 4 years, 1976, 2001, 2016, and this summer. In each one, I take the median American home, put 20% down, and finance the rest on a 30-year fixed at the average rate for the exact month. Same buyer, same down payment, same loan, 4 different decades. Then I measure that payment against 1 hour of the average American paycheck. Not a fancy paycheck. The average hourly wage for a regular working people, which the government has published every single month since the 60s. If housing really did break, this is where it shows up. So let's start with the decade everybody is angriest about, 2016 to today. The median home sold for $303,000. Today, $410,000. That's up 35%. Now the average wage. In 2016, $21.52 an hour. Today, $32.38, up 50%. Inflation over that same stretch was 38%. So line those up. Wages beat inflation. Wages beat home prices. On paper, on those 3 numbers alone, houses got more affordable over the last decade, not less. And I know that's an insane sentence to say out loud to anybody who's actually trying to buy a house recently. So watch the 4th number. The monthly payment on the median home, 20% down, in 2016 was $1,113. Today it's $2,111. Up almost 90%. 3 numbers went up between 35 and 50%. The 4th one nearly doubled. Now, stretch it back out 50 years, because this is where it stops being about a bad 1 decade. Start with my parents' market. The median American home sold for $44,400. This is not a typo. 20% down was only $8,880. And the average rate that June was 8.78%, which nobody ever brings up, because everybody remembers the price and quietly forgets the rate. The payment came to $280.20 a month against an average wage of $5.03 an hour. So it ate 32% of a full-time paycheck. Now jump forward a quarter of a century, bigger house, cheaper money, and the payment lands at $940.47 against a wage of $1,454. That's a 37% of the check. Jump again to the market everybody remembers fondly. Payment $1,113, against 21.52 an hour, 29% of a paycheck. And then there's right now, 2011 against 32.38 an hour, 37.5%. Look at those four numbers next to each other. 32%, 30, 37, 29, 37.5. 50 years, four completely different housing markets. And the share of the paycheck it takes to carry the median income has basically wobbled between a third and a bit over a third the entire time. Today is not historic high. Today is 2001. If anything is outlier on the list, is 2016, 29%, the cheapest of the four by a mile. And here's why that matters more than it sounds. An entire generation of us formed our whole idea that a house is supposed to cost during the cheapest stretch in 50 years. And now we're measuring today against it and calling the difference a crisis. It isn't a crisis, it's a comparison to an anomaly. So if the price didn't do it, and the paycheck didn't do it, what did? Watch this, because it's the cleanest thing in this entire video. I'm going to take one loan, today's loan, $328,560, the actual mortgage on the actual median house, and I'm going to leave the price alone, leave the down payment alone, change absolutely nothing except the interest rate, and just run it at each of these four historical rates. At today's 6.66, it's $2,111 a month. At 2001's 7.24 is $2,239 a month. At 1976's 8.78, it's $2,592. And at 2016's 3.66, the same house, the same price, the same buyer, $1,505, $607 a month gone on an identical house. That's the whole thing. That is the entire story of the last 10 years in one number. And real quick, that's the whole pitch here. Today's video is brought to you by me. There's no sponsor. This channel is my business. I'm a licensed mortgage loan officer, and figuring out what a specific house actually costs a specific person every month is generally what I do all day. So book a free 15-minute call with me. No pressure, no pitch, and I'll walk you through your exact numbers and tell you what you really qualify for. Want to run it yourself first? My free payment calculators are linked down below as well. Scan the code on the screen or tap the link in the description and the pinned comment, which is the comment at the top. You'll see the links. All right, so let's get back at it. Now, let me put a number on what that rate actually took from you, because $600 a month is abstract and this next one isn't. Flip the math around. Instead of asking what today's house cost at the old rate, ask what today's payment buys at the old rate. 2111 a month in 2016, 3.66 would carry a $461,000 mortgage. That's a $576,000 house. At today's rate, the same 2111 carries $328,560. So move-in rates all by itself deleted 29% of your buying power. Nobody raised the price on you. Nobody outbid you. You're not making less money. You're making considerably more. Your budget just quietly bought a third less house and no one sent you a letter about it. Okay, now I have to be honest with you about what that measurement leaves out. Because if I stopped here, I'd be doing the thing I complain about other people doing. Three things. One, everything I just showed you in principal and interest, it is not your whole payment. Property taxes, homeowner's insurance, where it applies, and an HOA. Those right on top. And over the last decade, several of them have gone up considerably faster than the mortgage itself. Insurance in particular has been brutal in a lot of states. So the real all-in number today is worse relative to 1976 than my clean comparison makes it look. Two, I measured against one average wage. 1976, far more households ran on single income than they do now. So a two-earner household today is clearing that bar with a second paycheck. The 1976 household didn't. That cuts against my point, and it's real here. And three, the big one, a monthly payment is not the thing standing between most of you and the house. It's the down payment that is. So let's actually measure the down payment, because this is where the honest bad news lives. 20% down in 1976 was $8,880. At $5.03 an hour, that's 1,765 hours of work, 44 weeks. Today, 20% down is $82,140 at $32.38 an hour, 2,537 hours, 63 weeks. So the down payment got 40% harder in real working hours, while the monthly payment stayed flat as a share of the paycheck. Those two facts sound contradictory. They're both true, and together they explain the actual shape of this thing. The people who already own are fine. The wall is at the front door. And for what is worth, the down payment also peaked in 2016 at 71 weeks, and that has been down since, which is the same pattern as everything else in this video and just as invisible. So why does any of this matter to you? Standing here trying to buy a house because you cannot fix a problem you have misdiagnosed. If the problem were that houses are permanently structurally overpriced, then the right move is to wait, because prices would have to come down for you to get in. But that isn't what the numbers are saying happened. What happened is that the cost of borrowing money roughly doubled in about 24 months. And a price and a rate are not the same kind of thing at all. Here's the difference, and I'd argue it's the single most useful sentence in this whole video. The price you pay for a house is permanent. It's carved into the deed. You will never pay a different number for that house as long as you live. The rate you pay is a rental fee on money, and it's temporary by design. If it goes down, you refinance and keep the new one. If it goes up, you do nothing at all, because yours is fixed and it belongs to you. The asymmetrical isn't a small technical detail. It is in the entire strategic picture. One of those two numbers you've stuck with forever, and it's one everybody thinks is the enemy. The other one is the one you can change, and it's the one everybody's waiting on. Which brings us to the question I got asked more than the other. So let's do it honestly and the actual math instead of a slogan. Should you just wait for rates to drop? Let's price it. Say you wait 2 years and rates came down to 5.5%, a generally good outcome. But the house doesn't sit still while you wait. At 4% a year, an ordinary number, not a boom. That is 410,700 house is 444,000 in 2 years. Your down payment requirement just went up $6,700, and your payment on that bigger loan at the better rate is $2,018 a month versus $2,111 today. So you waited 2 years, you needed more cash, and you've saved $93 a month. That's the honest number. Waiting for rates is not stupid, and I'm not going to pretend it is. It's just a lot less powerful than it feels, because the thing you're waiting for gets partially eaten by the thing you're not watching. But the comparison isn't even the real one. because it quietly assumes you're stuck with today's rate forever. You're not. Run the actual pair. You buy today at 6.66. 2 years from now, rates hit 5.5, and you refinance like a normal person. Your balance is down to $321,000 by then, and refinancing it keeps your original payoff date at $1,876 a month. The person who waited is paying $2,018. You're paying $142 a month less than they are permanently on a house you've already owned for 2 years. You have $123,000 of equity. They have their down payment. And the part that cannot be undone, you locked in a purchase price of $410,700. They paid $444,000 for the identical house. That's $33,500, and there is no product on earth that fixes it. You can refinance a rate. Nobody refinances a purchase price. Now, who should actually wait? Because some of you should, and I'd rather say it than selling you something. Wait if you don't have the down payment and the reserves yet. That's not a market call, that's a arithmetic. And buying with nothing behind you is how a house turns on you. Wait for your job or your income is generally unstable right now. Wait if you're not confident you're staying in the city 3 to 5 years, because the transaction cost on both ends will eat you alive on a short hold. Those are real reasons, and they have nothing to do with rates. What is not a good reason is waiting for prices to come back to a level your parents would recognize, or waiting for a specific rate to appear before you're willing to act. One of those is a bet on a number nobody can predict. And the other one is a bet against 50 years of evidence. Everything I showed you assumes 20% down, a 30-year fix, principal and interest only, and the published weekly average rates for that month. No lender fees. So the annual percentage rate equals the note rate in these examples. Today's snapshot in full, $410,000, $410,700 purchase price, $82,140 down, $328,560 finance, 360 months, a payment of $2,111.42, 6.66 note rate, 6.66 annual percentage. Your actual numbers will not be these. Nobody's are. So here's what I want you to take away from this. You did not miss it. You were not born 10 years late. What actually happened is you learned what a house cost during the single cheapest borrowing window in a half century, and when price of money went back to normal, and everybody called that a housing crisis. It isn't one. It's a rate market, and a rate market punishes waiting in a way a price doesn't, because in a rate market, the thing you're waiting for is the one thing you'd been able to fix later anyway. Go find out what your actual payment would be on an actual house in your city. Not the number in your head in 2016, the real one today. It is very often not the number people are bracing for. I'll see you in the next one.